the corruption spell that you cast, every time you hit with something that refreshes the corruption, like a Shadow Bolt or a Drain Soul, it will go and check again how much spell power you have and how much haste you have to get the next corruption rolling. But it doesn't check the critical strike. So on bosses where you're able to keep the corruption up, that same corruption that you cast at the beginning, if you can keep it up the whole fight, and before you cast it you use this trinket, where it is, blah blah, there it is, this one. If you can click it, use it, increase your critical strike, and then cast the corruption on the boss, and maintain that corruption all the time, you can get the benefit of the critical strike in it for the rest of the fight, even a long time after the proc effect has gone. Okay, the effect from using it has gone. Because as Blizzard has things settled, corruptions update and refreshes spell power and haste, but doesn't refresh it doesn't refresh the critical strike. So you can play along with it, so you can get more damage out of it. Here's another good example. Before you cast the corruption, use one of these. Potion of Wild Magic. Increases your critical strike by 200. You drink one, and then you cast the corruption. And you have the benefit of the increased critical for as long as you keep that corruption up. It's fairly simple and really, really useful. I'm going to show you a macro that I do when... Okay, I'm sorry for the weird editing, but Fraps keeps messing with me and I keep messing with him, but I'm trying to improve. Okay, so I was going to show you the macro for the corruption that I use. The idea of this macro is fairly simple. It's just stack as much critical on the corruption as you can. And so the instructions here are use 13 and 14, which is to use the slots that have the trinkets. If you have any trinket that has a use function, for example the never melting ice crystal, that's the intention, you just click on it because it will increase the amount of critical on the corruption that you're going to throw by a lot. And then you use a potion of wild magic, which adds more critical to the corruption, and in the end you throw the corruption, which will throw a corruption on the boss that will have a ton of critical in it. And if we're talking about a boss where you actually can keep that same corruption the whole fight up, it will keep that amount of critical for the whole fight, and that's a really, really nice boost on DPS. You'll notice that. This is more usable on bosses like single bosses, tank and spank bosses, situations where you can just keep the corruption up the whole time, and you will notice how the DPS will increase. It's really nice. Okay, so now let me just hurry up and go to the target dummies to show you what I already told you before, which was to show you the ticks from the Drain Soul. How does it work? I personally use two different mods that can control the ticks. I use Quartz, which shows a big bar here, I'll show you soon enough, that has some white lines, and every white line is where a tick will hit the boss. And I also have the ticks showing up on another mod called 4.3.5.Affliction, Exorcist, which is the mod that I use to control the timers from all the dots, so I can keep them up and don't have too many downtime between casting dots. And the idea is, you only cast or you only refresh a dot or you only do something that you need to do after the last tick, the upcoming tick from the Drain Soul that you're doing is finished. So you can maximize your DPS. If you start doing things before the tick that it's going to come up shows, you're going to be losing plenty of DPS, because these ticks from Drain Soul, on the level of gear I am at the moment, but pretty much for everyone, fully buffed on a boss, it's a lot of damage. Okay, so losing that amount of damage won't help your DPS, so you need to be able to control it. Let me try to show it to you here. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, I'm gonna throw the basic simple normal rotation. I'm gonna ignore the order, just wanna put all the dots there, and as you can see, I throw a Drain Soul, and you see the white lines? Every white line is a tick. See there as well on 4.3.5.Affliction Exorcist? So, my haunt finished, I throw it, and I pull again the Drain Soul. And you only go for refreshing the dots when one of these lines has instantly finished, like finish now hunt, because if you wait too long you're just losing DPS. You need to be able to throw this as fast as you can. For example, now Unstable Affliction and Curse of Agony, there we go, and Drain Soul again. And this is the idea of getting it done. Get a mod that has this line so you can control it. Okay, now last bit. I want to talk about the ping and the MS and the frames per second and all of that. So the problem with the ping and the MS is that sometimes you find some people, you meet some people, and I already did, that actually have some proper knowledge of their class, they know what they're doing, but they play on really old lousy PCs and they're just losing DPS, or they can't perform properly on a raid because they just don't have enough frames per second, or they lag a lot, and then they start getting bashed by their raid leader, they get on sit out, stop raiding, then they have their class leader saying that they're not good enough, and they actually know what they're doing, they just don't have a computer that match the requirements. I mean, for WoW you don't need that awesome, tremendous, huge, oh my god computer, but you need a decent one. I'm gonna give you my example. I play on a fairly decent computer, but it's not high-end at all. It's a dual core, the processor is one of those E8500 at 3.2 GHz. I got 4 GB of RAM, and my graphics card, it's an ATI, a 5770 with 1 GB. And as you can see, my frames per second are around 60 here. It lags more with fraps running, yeah, but usually I get 60 when I'm not in raid, and in 25-man raids with 24 people running around and lots of special effects and all of that stuff happening, I get around 30, 40, and it's pretty doable. You just can play easily, no problem at all. Now, if you're stuck on 5 frames per second or 10 frames per second, I mean, it's time to change your PC, there's no chance. If you take this game a little bit serious, I'm not talking about going fanatic over it or obsessed over it, just for someone that actually wants to raid 25-man and do some progress, you need to have a matching rig, a matching PC. And you need to make an investment, so yeah. I have a pretty lame one. My internet, it's really crappy, it's DSL 8 megabytes, but as you can see I can keep my ping under 100. I recommend having it under 200, it's the maximum. From then on you start noticing the lag a lot, and that's it. If you can actually have a proper PC to play this, you'll notice the difference on your DPS, your healing, your tanking, whatever your role is on your guild and on your raids. Okay, so just to finish this, I'm thinking about making a demonology video as an upcoming one to this one. Just want to keep everyone in mind that I think I'm fairly decent as Affliction. I know I still have a lot to learn, so if any of you guys have any ideas, just please go ahead. Any tips, anything that you might find that I'm doing wrong, just comment on it and help me out evolving. And I'm gonna try, like I was saying, do the demonology one, but I think I'm worse at demonology than at this. I mean, I do demonology and I help my raid on demonology because on my guild we're like a couple of locks, there's not many locks. So I end up most of the times raiding by myself, single lock on the raid, and then when that happens I have to go demonology. You can't ignore the demonology buff, it's much too good. So I tend to practice on it, but I don't think I'm that good. Anyway, I'll do the video, you guys can trash it all you want, and now I'm gonna close this one and see if I can actually complete this, because I've been at it for quite a while. Fraps keeps messing with me, and I'll talk with you guys later, okay? You guys have fun and enjoy the game.